When fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in a flag and holding a cross. This famous quote paints a disturbing picture of Donald Trump's very trajectory. Donald Trump is bringing fascism into this country. And now CNN has dropped a brutal LA bombshell on Donald Trump. Now it seems for Trump, it was never actually about making America great again. It was only about him getting control. This has become abundantly clear with the fact that Trump has not delivered on any of his campaign promises.
You were promised lower prices on day one. Yes. By a show of hands, how many of you are feeling those lower prices? You were promised an end to all wars on day one. How many of you have seen an end to those wars?
Even worse, Donald Trump rose to prominence on this tough guy facade by acting like the strong man. Now, Taco Trump is at it again. This time with the Iran tension, Trump once again said, we'll reach a decision in 2 weeks. Well, Dementia Don has been using 2 weeks for ages now.
We're signing a healthcare plan within 2 weeks.
Over the next 2 weeks, I'll be pursuing a major executive order.
We're going to be announcing something, I would say, over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I think you're going to find some very interesting items coming to the forefront over the next 2 weeks.
We've got the plan largely completed, and we'll be filing it over the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe sooner.
I'll be making a big decision on the Paris Accord over the next 2 weeks.
This is just so embarrassing. Clearly, Trump just says 2 weeks when he doesn't have an answer. Because of Trump's detachment from reality, now Republicans everywhere are left floundering, wandering around aimlessly without a clear direction from Donald Trump. Take Jesse Waters, for example. Fox News literally just walked right into this one.
Upper midterms, and that's something that they're not doing.
Barack Obama can't get Trump's name out of his mouth. Everywhere he goes is Trump, Trump, Trump. What's wrong with Barack?
Well, guess what? The same thing is wrong with Trump. They keep talking about Barack Obama. They talked about Barack, or how you've been talking about him the last 30 minutes, or all of the Republicans. Just to be honest with you, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, Jesse. You know, one minute you say Barack Obama's too classy, and the next minute y'all say Representative Crockett is too over the top. So which one do you want? Should they meet you where you are, meet you where you're at, which I agree with. You want to get ugly? Let's get ugly. You want to be polite? Let's go with Barack Obama. To be honest with you, I agree. The 2008 and 2012 strategies don't work anymore. You need to fight fire with fire. And it appears that Representative Jasmine Crockett, who I know you folks love talking about her, she seems to be meeting Trump right where he's at with the same type of rhetoric.
But if you thought things couldn't get any worse, you would be wrong. Because CNN just dropped a brutal LA bombshell on Donald Trump, and it's taking the country by storm. Take a look.
Where are we? Well, I think we can say that Donald Trump has lost the political battle when it comes to what has happened out in Los Angeles. Donald Trump's net approval rating on the Los Angeles protest. Look at this. Overall, way underwater at minus 15 points. How about among independents or those who don't identify with either major party? Way even lower. Look at that, minus 24 points on the net approval rating. And of course, this is happening on what should be one of Donald Trump's, in fact, the best issue for Donald Trump, immigration. And yet, when it comes to these Los Angeles protests, 15 points underwater overall and 24 points underwater among independents. No good.
What is the broader view of how Trump is acting and what he's doing when it comes to these arrests of immigrants?
Right. So, you know, you see these numbers with concern to the Los Angeles protests, but let's widen it out a little bit. And I think this sort of paints a picture for you in understanding why Donald Trump's net approval rating on the Los Angeles protests are as low as they are. Take a look. Trump and immigrant arrests. He's gone too far. That's the winner here, 49%. Not too far, only 40%. So you got a 9-point lead here. And again, among those independents or other category, you see 51% of them say Trump's gone too far. And what's so important to note is that this poll was taken after the Los Angeles protests started. So this takes into account everything that's gone on in Los Angeles. At this particular point, if the protesters' idea was to focus the attention on Donald Trump and bring attention to his immigration policies and bring attention to the arrests that have been occurring of immigrants, it seems to me that those protests have been successful because you see here, 49% say Trump's gone too far when it comes to the immigrant arrest, compared to just 40% who say he's not gone too far. And you don't have to be a mathematical genius to know 49% is larger than 40%.
By quite a bit. All right. How are people feeling, Americans in general, about ICE in general as they're seeing what has been happening across the country, but specifically in Los Angeles?
Yeah, okay, so let's take a look here, right? More ICE raids at workplaces, these workplaces where immigrants perhaps are here illegally are working. Look, 45% approve, but again, what's the winner here? 54%. 54% disapprove of the idea of more ICE arrests. And this, again, goes to what these protests were all about in the first place, these ICE arrests at work. And it does seem, again, that the American people are with the protesters on this. You see here the majority saying that they disapprove of more ICE raids at workplaces. And I think it's so important to note, ICE has historically actually been rated fairly favorably, but their favorable ratings have been going down as these raids have been going up.
Yeah, and this is one of the biggest issues that Donald Trump, it was like the second most important issue that Donald Trump won the election on, which is immigration.
This is his core issue, and he's losing on his core issue at this point. Again, he is losing in these protests.
All right. Thank you so much, Harry Enton, for all those numbers and getting us through them as you always do.
Thank
Over to you, John.
Long story short, fascism and authoritarianism, it's not popular. Who would have thought? After all, we are only living in America, you know, the country that fought fascists time and time again. Trump is an embarrassment. He's failing to deliver on any of his campaign promises, and instead, he's ushering fascism into the White House. Sadly, Donald Trump will be remembered as nothing more than a dark embarrassment on American history.